going to start out with how the Centerville Club got started initially. And I'll begin by saying that Miamisburg members contacted us, and we met in my office several sessions to try and determine what Rotary is all about and the interest that we would have in Rotary. So.
Yeah, and it took 25 signatures, or people, or men back then, on the petition for a new club to be formed in District 667 then. Mm-hmm. I was the 25th, if I'm not mistaken, as a prospective member at that time. Yeah. We met first at, it was called the American Restaurant. It was the old high school.
From Exig.
Yeah, what was that called? The American?
Wishing Well, I think at the time.
Well, Wishing Well had closed.
Yes, it was a Chinese restaurant, wasn't it?
Yes, at the time.
Yes. Yeah, that. But we didn't stay there very long. We finally went up to Antonio's.
Mm-hmm. To the annex.
To the annex, yes. Yeah, that was an interesting process that we went through to get the club started, and we went around calling people and trying to say, like Doc Kelso and Bill Davis and Walt Buchsieb and all those. Yeah. We tried to convince them that this was a good idea. And we didn't have a hard time convincing people, I don't think.
But as Lee said, we had to have 25 people before we got started. And
that's correct.
Right.
Through that nucleus, we began the club and we're off and running.
Right, right.
Webb Boyer was the Miamisburg president.
Yes.
At the time, and
didn't he come and kind of instruct us on the process of forming a club?
Sure.
Yeah. And who was the district governor? I know Brown was.
First name was Bill over in Fairborn.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last name.
I don't remember him, but the Governor Brown from Miamisburg.
Middletown.
From Middletown, yes. Mm-hmm. I had met him, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to be in Rotary, is that my father-in-law was a president of the Middletown Club, and I met Brown down there because he was governor-elect at that time, and he said, "We're thinking we should start a club in Centerville. There's enough business people in Centerville to have a club," and he didn't tell me that Miamisburg was going to be assigned the responsibility of putting us together. Mm-hmm. So when you called and said, "Would you be interested?" Because we were members of the same church mm-hmm. at the time, and we still are.
Okay.
Yes, and we got together with who did you say was the other?
Jack Workman.
Jack Workman. That's right. That's right. Yeah, and started putting the plans together. Mm-hmm. That was what, March or April, wasn't it? March. Yeah. March, I think.
Yes. And then we just had a short year, and then we started in for the full Rotary year the next year.
That's right. And you were the first president, and you stayed on through that first full year, and then we went on from there. Yeah, very good.
And our initial banquet, our first banquet, was, I think, at Imperial House South, was it not? And that where we got our papers as being in the Centerville Rotary?
Where we got our charter from Rotary International.
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I remember getting that charter, but I don't remember where we were.
I think that was the closest restaurant around that would, hold a decent number of people.
Yeah.
Okay, that could be.
What got us started and interested in Rotary? To me, it was an international flavor because it wasn't something we just do for the community, but we could stretch out actually throughout the world.
Sure.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Polio was not even a thought in our heads back then.
No.
Which is now still one of our biggest goals of International Rotary is to end polio.
Yeah.
But there was always an international flavor that we were working on or trying to support in Centerville Rotary.
Yeah.
And then we worked on local projects quite a bit.
Yeah, that's what my father-in-law talked about, was what their club did in Middletown to make things better there, and so I was interested in that. I didn't really know much about the international events, but he talked a lot about what they were doing there, and I thought, Jesus, that sounds like a club I want to belong to.
Yeah.
Well, it's the kind of club that I know you and Carolyn used to travel a lot, but you could go all over the world essentially and meet Rotarians and friends. That,
and you can make up in any club in the world.
Right.
You were welcome anywhere. And back then, you were not supposed to miss any meetings.
Yeah, right.
If you couldn't make your own, then you should go locally, because there was a West Carrollton club, a Kettering club, even Waynesville. All those places around there that you can make up.
Sure.
And it was a big thing to have 100% attendance. They used to pass out numbers every year. Your second year being perfect attendance.
Right.
Or some people had 60 years of perfect attendance. You just wonder how in the heck somebody could make that many Rotary clubs and not miss somehow on making up. You had like 2 weeks, I think, to make up. If you missed your club, you had 2 weeks to make up somewhere else, and then that counted and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We had one of the members at Bethany. Remember later on, he had perfect attendance for so long, and when he was not able to come to the meetings,
we went to him.
And closed the meeting so he could keep perfect attendance, and he was close to 70 years. He was a baby doctor, remember?
all those pediatricians?
Yeah. Pediatricians.
Yeah.
And, that was during my time that we did not close the meeting. When I was president, somebody went to be with him so they could close the meeting, and he would be counted as not missing. So, you want to talk about our first money maker? I think was that not the auctions?
That
was an auction.
Yes. And we only did that once.
Oh no! It was several years that we did the auction.
Oh, I thought it was only one time.
Well, Don Overly had these skates, and and every year
we sold them.
We sold them back to him.
I remember that. We did have that auction down on the corner of Bar Hills and Whip Road.
Yeah.
There was some vacant land in there at that time.
Yes.
And so we had people that donated from our club.
Yeah.
Plus we went around to the neighborhood.
Sure.
And I remember the skates didn't sell, Lee.
But they were your skates.
But they came back and I had to buy them.
Yes, you did. At the club.
And there was a 20-foot step ladder.
A wooden step ladder that I think belonged to you. Didn't it belong to you?
No, I never had that. But it was in the auction and it didn't sell.
Yes.
But at the next meeting, it appeared and
somebody had to buy it.
Yeah, and someone was Lee.
Oh, okay. But we did that several years.
Yeah.
And I think then we got into
the spaghetti dinner.
The spaghetti dinner because of Antonio's.
Yeah, yes.
But before you leave that, Lee, one of the funniest things I thought, an item that didn't sell in that auction was a bowling ball.
Oh, yeah.
And we had Nick Peth, who was a realtor in the club at the time. And Nick was a pretty good bowler. So that bowling ball appeared. It didn't sell in the auction, so it appeared, and Nick had to buy it. And Nick was a good right-handed bowler, but unfortunately for him, it was a left-handed bowling ball. So it was an interesting one.
Yeah. I didn't remember we had it more than once.
No. It was 3 or 4 years that we did it. And then when I was president or president-elect or something like that, we had an auction, and that was during the Americana. They had just started Americana, and Rotary, I think, had a beer a beer truck or something, didn't we?
Rotary had a
with?
beer truck.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
I think
No.
you're
a pop truck maybe.
maybe it might have been.
And we actually had an auction during the Americana in the township auditorium,
Oh yeah.
and that we did for a couple of years, and then
Then we
and
went
then we
to the-
got out of that.
Yeah. Well, when Tony offered his restaurant,
That was a
and
biggie.
and said he would cook the spaghetti and have his staff, all we had to do was serve it. That sounded like a good deal for us.
Yeah, that's when we started to really fund a lot of projects
Right.
at Centerville Rotary.
Well, and that's when we got our scholarship
Yes.
money together and started giving out scholarships. Did you hear what they said in club today? That about $235,000 that we've given in scholarships over these almost 50 years. Yeah.
I think that started in 1975. We were started in 1972, and in 75
Yeah. Okay.
was our first
scholarship.
scholarships.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And then it's grown
Yeah.
immensely since then.
Well, and this year we gave out 5 $2,000 scholarships to the 5 Centerville students. They were amazing young people. They
Yeah.
really were. Yeah. Yeah. So.
and
You know,
then we went.
earlier in the initial meetings, 2 things that I remember we started out with right away, and that was the Pledge of Allegiance,
Sure.
and then we had a prayer. So we were pledging allegiance to our country and to God, and those things have been here for 50 years. We still do those.
Absolutely. Still
things,
do this
yeah.
today. Yes, right.
Well, we also sang.
Yeah.
Yes, well,
We're not singing today, but that was God Bless America, or whatever somebody started with. That's what we sang that day.
yeah.
And we used to pass the prayers around too.
Yes.
It wasn't always the ministers that were praying.
That's right. Yes. Yes.
And
Well,
that
Don,
sort of thing.
Don has prayed once or twice.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
pray for both of you.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Well,
Thank
need,
you.
You need to, Don. Yes, that's for sure.
What kinds of things have kept us in Rotary for 50 years?
Well, I would say one of the things that kept me in Rotary, besides having gone up the ladder and been a district governor, is that the foundation. I think that's one of the strengths of Rotary is our outreach to the world. The last figures I had was last year that the clubs over the country, we have about 165 countries that we're in, and those clubs gave $350 million to support the Rotary. And the other factor on that Rotary is that none of the money that we give is used for operating the foundation. We hold the money for 2 years, and it's invested, and we use the money that we earn from that year's money, that year's giving, to fund the foundation. And every dollar that I put in there goes to some good project around the world, and I really like.
One of the big projects has been, and I don't know when it started, but Polio Plus, trying to eradicate polio throughout the world.
Yes.
And that I grew up at a time when I had some friends that had polio,
Oh, yes.
Yes.
and it's very meaningful and has been and continues to be to place our funds into an area
Right.
that helps people
Right.
steer clear of polio.
I was a district governor-elect when we put the plans together for our district, and then we kicked it off in '86 for that we were going to raise $100 million, and people said, "We'll never do it. You can't raise that kind of money." We raised $120 million that first year for polio. Yeah.
And now polio is Polio Plus,
Yes.
and they've added other things to that vaccination so that there's more things covered
Right.
than just polio.
Yeah.
So it has almost been eliminated in the world, which back in '86, there was a lot of countries that didn't have polio, but boy, there was a bunch that did in South America, Africa, and Asia.
Well, North America too. We were still feeling the effects of polio here in our country as well, in Canada.
Yeah. So now we're down to
2 countries.
And
that
it's,
doesn't have polio.
That's right.
And that's Pakistan, I think.
Pakistan and Afghanistan.
Afghanistan.
And basically, because of the war over there, that we weren't able to do the inoculations.
Yeah.
Lee, didn't you go to one of those
Right.
countries?
There was 3 of us from our club, and there was some other people from our district that went to Nigeria, and I think that was 2010, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to the northern part of Nigeria, and we went into small villages, and we went into the schools where there was, the younger kids, and they would line them up, and we would put the 2 drops in their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And we spent a week over there. And I don't know how many kids we immunized, but it was very worthwhile. At least you felt like you were doing something to help eradicate this terrible, terrible thing called polio.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up as a kid here, we went to Troy and we saw examples of the iron lungs. Remember the iron lungs back in the 50s?
Oh, yes.
And how that would keep people alive, basically. The iron lung breathed for you. And that was, I never got that picture out of my mind because that was so terrible. And so I was very glad to go over there to Nigeria and do it. And Jack Workman was with me, and so was Hans, our past district governor, was with us.
Okay.
And it was a good time.
Yeah.
And it made you feel like you were doing something good.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
One of the things as our club has progressed it made a big impact, in my opinion, is that's when San Francisco had some women that wanted to get into Rotary and they were refused.
Yeah.
Rotary International said, "You're not going to refuse women."
Right.
And so I don't remember what year that was that Centerville had our first woman, and we've had a lot of women, and I think it's made our club a lot stronger.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yes. And there were some men who left Rotary because they felt that the women would be intrusive, but they've made Rotary better.
I think we ought to talk about some of the local things we've done. Certainly the gazebo at Benham's Grove was one that we physically built that.
Yes, we did.
It's used today, and it's attractive and serves a purpose. And then we got going with the park department, the parks, Centerville Washington Township Park District, and we built a shelter out in Oak Grove. There we go.
Yeah.
And I guess that's still being used by a lot of people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And now we're into our 50th year, and we've changed to where we're going to Grant Park.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we kind of celebrate the past members that have passed from the earth.
Yeah.
And we have their names on bricks and have a little display down there at Grant Park. And that park is being totally regenerated, and we're going to play an important role down there. Harvey, do you want to talk about that some?
Well, it's an entrance there off of McEwen Road that we're rehabbing that whole area, and we've got a field that we've planted seeds in to have plants come up so that birds and butterflies and all can have a place to feed, and and rebuild our memorial park there, so that, as you say, we recognize the past members who've passed away.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think we're putting in about $50,000,
$53,000 is what we're actually putting into that project as a gift to our community for our 50th anniversary. Yeah.
And one of the projects that we've had in recent years has been the Project Warm, where we got coats for needy children in Centerville and Washington Township, and that's it's going on its third, fourth year maybe. It's been a very good project.
Yeah, I think we learned that we've given out, was it 3,000 coats so far?
Something like that over the last few years. Yes.
And of course, one of our big fundraisers has been, until the pandemic, is the pancake.
Oh yes,
that's been very popular, and I like it. Liked it because not only you see all the people working in Rotary, serving people, preparing the food, but you got to see people from the community come in, and it was people you hadn't seen for quite a while. It was a good event.
Yes.
And where do we do that, Dr. Overley?
I think we did that at the west unit of the high school.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And who built that high school? Who was the superintendent?
We don't want to get into that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he didn't lay any bricks, I can tell you that.
No, but it was under his guidance that
yes,
we have a
absolutely.
very modern and up-to-date high school.
Right.
And we're in the west wing, or the west, what do they call it, the west pod or west?
It's the west unit, unit.
Unit, okay.
Hopefully this fall we'll be able to have pancakes again there.
Yes, the last Saturday of October. So anybody that's seeing this interview, remember that, because we'll be around with tickets.
Yes, yes.
And for the last 2 years, since we didn't have the pancake, we've had the golf outing.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
been
right.
pretty
And
popular.
We had one this spring, and it was successful again. It was our second one, and I don't think we have gotten the figures yet.
No.
It's close to $15,000, I think. Maybe that has been raised.
Yes, close to that.
And of course, that's going towards our 50th year celebration and for Grant Park.
Right.
And scholarships for students too.
Another area that I want to mention is the buying of water pumps for various places, particularly in Africa and Haiti. That's been quite a successful project for us of trying to provide clean drinking water for people. How many people get sick from drinking
contaminated
polluted
water?
Yes, we're trying to, and that's one of the major emphases of Rotary International is clean water and health activities that improve the health of people. And how much is it that each pump costs us $10,000? Is that?
It's an expensive pump. Yeah. There are pumps that have been used for years, and they're almost shallow wells.
Yes.
They may go down 100 foot or so, and mechanically, some of them do not hold up as well. These are specially made, and I think they're made here in Ohio somewhere. And these are deep well pumps. We're going down 400 feet to find water. In some of these countries, especially in Africa and Asia and stuff like that, you have to go down a long ways to find a source of water which is reliable.
Yes.
And these are the only pumps that are currently being produced that can go down and pump that water. And it's done by hand. You bring the water up by hand. There's no electricity out there. And they find an area and they find that there's water, and they go down and they drill the well and they locate it, and then they position this pump over it. And maybe that's the only good water source within 20 miles.
Yes.
And once it's in there, communities that used to walk miles or 20 miles or more than that to a stream and carry the water back now have a pump that gives them pure water. Ron in our club has headed up that project for us, and he made it a district project,
Right.
and even got international funding. He's been wonderful to push this through, because all these projects are not easy to get support from Rotary. You got to have a club in that country that is able to do a lot of the field work,
Yeah.
and then you got to have Rotary International, and then you got to have local clubs here, and it is a coordination effort that is immense.
Right.
And for this to happen, it's just wonderful that our club was such a part of what's happening with these deep well pumps.
Another issue that those pumps help is that many of the countries don't value young girls, and they're the ones that went to carry the water home
Yeah.
and not go to school. The boys got to go to school, and the girls got to carry the water. And this way, the girls don't have to carry the water.
That's right.
It's right there in their community, and we're encouraging then the girls to be able to be educated
Sure.
as well.
So there's
Well, we've talked about district projects, we've talked about local projects, we've talked about international projects. What kinds of things would both of you expect to see for the next 50 years for Rotary in this community?
Well, that's a hard question to answer, Don, I think, because the world goes in directions, and we follow directions of need, and so we're not sure what the next generation is going to produce that we may need some effort to help those. So it's hard to answer that. I think we'll continue with what we're doing now in trying to help families. For example, we do small amounts of money to a lady in Africa, and she can start her own little business and provide for her family.
So regardless of how the world turns, we expect to see Rotary still inclined to try and help people.
Absolutely.
But one of the things that I enjoy and have enjoyed for 50 years and hope it is many more years for Rotarians in the future is that the friendliness in our club. It's a treat to go to the club because everyone seems in a good mood and it's just a friendly, loving club.
Yeah.
And going to clubs not of our own, but if you go to another club, you are just welcome.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you're a stranger, and they take care of you. And that's the way it is around the world. Rotary is Rotary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it got started in, was it 1906? 1905. Well, I'm only a year off. That's not bad.
Yeah.
And it started in Chicago with a couple of businessmen, and they rotated between their offices.
Right.
And that's how the Rotary wheel was created.
Right.
And it still is our symbol today.
Yeah. And now we have 1,200,000 members around the world.
It's the
believe
largest service organization in the world.
Service club, like.
Club,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. I went to. I made up one time at the club in Madrid, Spain. This is just a little side story, and they meet at 2:30 in the afternoon because that's their siesta time, and so I went into this hotel and sat there with a couple of the fellows, and then about a dozen men came in, and they started having drinks, and they were like cocktails, not just wine, you know. And and so they offered me some. I no, thank you. I don't really care for any. And then we went to the dinner, and they had a different wine for each part of the dinner, and so there were 3 glasses of wine sitting in front of me by the time the dinner was over. And I was sitting next to a doctor who knew English, and he was translating for me. And I said, "Is this the way you conduct your meeting all the time?" And he said, "Yep, every week we have to have our wine."
So that's the reason that you and Carolyn took trips to Madrid every year?
Oh, yeah, every year after that, yes. Yeah, oh, yes, we really love that wine. But it's a different experience in different countries, and that was my point, is that you learn different cultures and different ways of conducting business and all that sort of thing. And it was worth doing, yes. We traveled quite a bit.
So what is our next event that we're going to have? It's going to be at Americana, is it not?
Oh,
and what's
yeah.
going to happen at the Americana?
Well, this fella has an old fire truck.
Really?
Yeah. And
what does he do with this fire truck?
the thing doesn't go straight. It seems to
No,
go.
you know why it doesn't go straight? The parade is too slow in moving, and to use up space without using up the clutch,
Yeah.
you have to use up space within the street so that you're not just stopping and starting all
So
the
anyone
time.
that's watching this wants to stay away from
Don't-
fire truck.
I thought it was the driver didn't have any.
No, driver is fine.
Oh, the driver's
The
fine.
driver is fine. And then what happens behind the driver? What happens today?
Oh, they shoot people with squirt guns.
Yes.
We're not allowed to throw candy anymore.
No, can't throw candy.
So-
but,
so
but,
we're-
so
so
we
we're
load the
squirting
guns
them.
up. Yeah, we're squirting them.
And I think we're just about ready for the editing process. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all about Rotary and how much we've enjoyed it.
Indeed. Yes. I agree with you, though. The friendships that we've made in Rotary has been valuable, Don, and I greatly appreciate that as well. Yeah.
One of our projects has been House of Bread. Lee, what's the House of Bread project all about?
Okay, in Dayton, it serves food to the homeless and those that get in line. And we go up and we help prepare the food. A lot of volunteers, and we're just one of hundreds probably that volunteer up there. And we get the food ready. We actually help prepare the food, cook it, and then we serve the food, and then we do cleanup. So you get there about 9 o'clock in the morning or earlier, and you're done about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you served, I would say, at least 100 and 150 people. And that's one of the projects that we have done. What did you say? Hannah's
Treasure
chest is where we take our coats.
Right.
And they pass the coats out. Golly, that is such a big project for Centerville Rotary.
And that's for needy children
that don't have coats.
Right.
For the winter.
For
their
the
winter
winter.
coats. Yeah. And then another one that that we've done is collecting books that go to schools that don't have books for the children to take home with them and to keep. And we've
dictionaries and
well,
thesaurus?
well, not just that. This was a project where we collected used books and sorted them out by ages, and then took them out to schools, like in inner city schools that didn't have, and many of these children from the inner city have never had a book of their own, and we encourage the teachers to actually give the books to them to take home with them to keep. So that was another good project that we've worked upon. Yeah.
The other project, which Don was talking about, is we go to, I think, 3rd grade and the Rotarians actually go to each classroom
Right.
and pass them out. And then the thesaurus goes to the fifth graders, and we pass them out in the fifth grade. So that's done every year, and we've done that for many, many years.
Right.
And we'll be doing it again, I guess, when the school starts up in the fall.
In fall, yes.
Because we've already done it,
And
this
that's,
school year's
not
over
just the
with.
public schools, but the Catholics.
Catholic.
Yeah. When you go to the school and you go to the fifth graders and you say, does anybody remember getting the dictionary? And boy, those hands all go up, and people the kids are excited about getting a different book
Sure.
this time. Yeah. That's fun to go and be with those classes as we give out those books. Yeah.
I think some of the other things that we're doing, we have Happy Bucks.
Yeah.
And 4 times a year, we pick a project that the Happy Bucks are going to. And again, it's for local projects. It's not international, it's just local projects that the board figures out that we ought to support in some way. And so when we have our Happy Bucks, which our club is very generous in that way, everybody can say something, and to say something, you have to put some money in the pot, as they'd say, and then you're able to say things. And we have done a lot of great projects that way, just with our Happy Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
That brings back a memory that early in our Rotary years, we had, every time it had Christmas break, how they would try to find out who had traveled the farthest.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one year that Dottie and I went to Hawaii, and we happened to travel the farthest, and they had a tip jar that people would put their change in.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to match that.
Oh my.
And I'm sure a lot of those guys raided their kids' piggy banks. There was a lot of change in there.
Well, we want to be kind to you.
Yes.
Yes.
Money all goes to a good purpose. though.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
A special memory that I have was when my term was finished, and they brought in a big cake with a lot of candles on it, all lit, and they asked me to blow the candles out. And Harold Kelso, I think, was responsible for getting those candles. They were non-blowable.
Yeah, you can't blow them out. You blow them out and they relight.
Yeah. I remember the year I was president. At the end of the year, the club gave me a Paul Harris Fellow, which was a $1,000 gift to the foundation, and that got me started on
Sure.
contributing to the foundation. And I was very pleased with that gift from the club. Yeah.
The thing that I remember was Harvey Smith was going to be the district governor the next year, and we had to have a strong club because the club really puts on or helps the district governor put on his convention, which is in the spring, and so you need a strong club to support your district governor. And that was my goal, was to make sure that the club was ready to support Harvey as he became the district governor for 86, 87, I think.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
We've had how many district governors?
We've had 5 district governors, and I was the first, and then
Russ Brinkman.
Russ Brinkman came next, and then who was the third? Hans was third, and then Savaji was fourth, and Beal
was in there.
John
Beals.
Beals was in there,
Yeah.
and then Savaji was
Yeah.
yes. So we've had 5 district governors
And that's quite good for
for
a
a small
club that's
club.
only
50 members.
years old.
Yeah, yes, and 50 to 60 members in our club. Yeah. So
Our club has done a lot of good for the community, for the worldwide projects, as we mentioned, and
yeah.
it's been a one of good friendship again.
Yeah, yes, very good. So,
And we're the last 3 charter members.
That's right. That's right. There are several charter members that are still living, but they're not here.
That's right. They're no longer part of the club.
They're living in other places. But
So don't expect us to be here 50 years from now.
no,
This is it.
I have an appointment.